morning everyone. So today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do a tent review. So normally on this channel I do hiking videos and photography videos where I'm out somewhere exciting. But in between it's kind of nice to just see what the gear I took with me, how it works, and I can pass that information on to you. Okay, so what we have here, it's the Zpacks Plex tent. This is the smallest tent that they make and probably the lightest tent in the whole world that is still usable and not completely flimsy, because this one is much sturdier than you think it is. So it's a trekking pole tent, and using a trekking pole tent makes it sturdier because the trekking poles, let me show you, they're quite thick. So compare this to whatever you use on your normal tent. This is much more sturdy. And if you just get a good pitch with this one, you are going to get a very stable tent. Okay, and here it is. So you can see how lightweight it is. It's absolutely nothing. So it packs down really good in your bag. Now, getting it out and pitching it, it's a little bit tricky, and it does require some practice before you get it right. So I'm going to show you how to pitch it. So we make like a first pitch here, and so you can get it right when you try it. But like I said, it does take practice. You shouldn't go out into the wild immediately and then pitch it there, because you should probably do it in your garden a couple of times before. Okay, so these are the pegs I got from Zpacks. They come in two sizes. You get the tiny one and the little bit larger one. Now, the tiny one is tempting because it's a lot lighter, but it actually doesn't really grip that well into the dirt. So I do prefer the big one, and this one is quite good. It actually works rather nicely. So get a little bit bigger pegs for these kind of tents because you need the grip. Okay, I'm gonna show you the best way to set up a trekking pole tent like this. That's got one stick to set it up. So what I do, I begin with staking out these corners here. It's the furthest corners away from where the stick is. So just put one down here. Now you can do it quite loose in the beginning, because we're gonna walk around and we're gonna tighten it up as we go. But something like this is a good start. So just grab your trekking pole, walk around to the other side, and here the tent has a little bit of a cup here. So you just put the trekking pole in there where the cup is, and then you put it up straight. And after that, you have to open up the trekking pole so you can get it up probably as high as the trekking pole will go, and then you clamp it down. Now, it's still going to fall apart if you don't use a stake for this, so you need to stake this one down as well. And that's it. That's the basics of it. So now we're just going to stake out all around it. If I could ask you a favor, why not hit the like and subscribe button? It would really help me out. I'm trying to grow this channel so I can get to a position where I can get more content out, and that would be fantastic. Okay, so I'm now just going to walk around and put stakes in all the corners here. And I still keep it kind of loose, not over tighten it at this point. There you go, you can see it's already going to work. And then there are these lines here that serves as to get the tension out so it doesn't collapse in on you. So I'm just going to put one down on each one of these each here. Where there's lots of tension, you're going to need the big ones, and where it's like these that are not crucial for the structure, you can use a small one. That will keep the weight down of your package just a little bit. So the tent has this kind of a flap system. There is no zipper or anything like that. So what you got to do is you have this little hook mechanism. So you get one of the D-rings in here and the other one on the other side, and then just got to tighten it down a little bit. And it works quite good. It has a bit of an overlap, so there will be no rain coming in. So it's not bad. The problem with it is that it can actually be quite hard to reach these ones. When you're inside the tent, you have to have a very long arms to be able to unhook this, or even worse, when you have to hook it when you're sitting inside. It's a bit of a stretch. So once you've gotten to this point where everything is kind of loosely set up, you just go around each one of these tie-outs and adjust them accordingly. And you can see this one, for instance, I should pull out just a little bit. And this one I can tighten. Could also pull it out a tiny bit here, make it a bit longer. Now you should never over tighten this tent. It can be tempting to do that. I have done it and it's not good because it can break. But I promise it will hold up in even the biggest of storms if you just get this decently tight. There, I think that's a really good setup right now. And here we go, the tent in all its glory. It's set up and it doesn't take more than 2-3 minutes once you get the hang of it. In the beginning it can take forever. You will go around and just untying and tying again, but once you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty fast. But it's not the easiest tent to set up. But you can see here that it's super stable. There's nothing that's going to turn this up. Now the only thing is you have to watch out for the pegs here, that they don't come loose. So it is a problem if you got sandy soil or if it's too rocky, then these pegs could come loose. And it only takes 1 or 2 to come loose for the whole thing to collapse, so you got to be careful about that. But otherwise it's rock solid. So I hiked with this through all of Iceland, and I had some pretty gnarly storms, I can tell you. I was sitting in there at wake all night, just listening to this, shaking like crazy. Impossible to sleep, but it did hold up. And at the same time, I could see other people's tents just flying through the wind. They literally had to go out and chase them. But this one stood firm, so I'm quite happy about that. There's not really any problem as such with this tent. But if you're taller than 6 feet or 184 centimeters, which I am, I'm exactly 6 feet, it just barely works. But I can tell you, if you're like 190 or 6'3" in American terms, you're going to struggle with this tent. But luckily Zpacks makes another version called the ultralight that are made for taller hikers. But I think 6 feet is the max length where you will sleep comfortably here. So let's take a look inside. So first you got to roll up the flaps, and it comes with a little bit of a mechanism. It's got 2 loops here that you can hook in like so. And then you can see here that it's got this rainbow style of a entrance. So we just open it. It's decently easy to get into, but you need to be a little bit smooth. Okay, so once in, you can see I do have all the space that I need for a decent night's sleep, but it's just barely there. If I would be 5 centimeters taller, I would have problems. And if you get a little bit of a saggy pitch, then this you might be able to touch this. It's not so much problem in your face. This has always been fine, but the problem comes at the end where you have your sleeping bag and it starts rubbing against the tent sides. It will create condensation, or the condensation will end up on the sleeping bag and get a little bit wet if you're not careful. So that is a slight problem, but else it comes with a few features here where you can adjust the bathtub, getting it up and down. So the tent is made completely in Dyneema, and that makes it super light. It's 100% waterproof, never had a leak or anything like that, but it does come with a few caveats that is wise to look out for. So for instance here, I had to make some repair, and this is a little bit what I was talking about before, where you don't over tighten it. So in this special design here, it goes up this ridge, and because I was afraid it was going to get loose in the storm, I started over tightening it and it got a rip here. Now it's not a rip in the fabric because that's almost impossible to do because of the Dyneema, but what it does is that you get these seams could come loose. But the very good thing with Dyneema is that it's super easy to repair. All you need to do is buy some of the Dyneema tape and tape it up, and it holds forever. It's like brand new then. So what I did also as well, I started sewing this together. So now it's stronger than it's ever been before. So I put a very dense, thick seam here, so I will never have the problem that that's going to rip up ever again. So it's actually better than it was new. Here you can see there is another repair I had to make with the tape. Now, it's not that it got torn or anything like that. It's that I had my tripod was on the other side and it was a superstorm and was just fluttering like this. and over the night it gently rubbed against the tripod and it became a hold. So that's one of the things with Dyneema, is that it doesn't really stand up to rubbing against surfaces, and so you don't want to scrape it against rocks or anything like that. You want to be very careful. But what it is, it's completely rip proof. You can't tear it to shreds by just ripping it, so a wind can't break it. But of course the seams are always sensitive. But yeah, so I had to do a couple of repairs here with the tape, but it still looks pretty good, I think. So Dyneema is very rip proof, and it's the lightest material on the market. It's not the most packable material, so you're going to get a little bit bulkier than if you had some kind of a nylon or something. So you got to do that trade. Do you want more space in your pack, or do you want it to be lighter? Okay, so that's my review of the Zpacks Plex tent, and it's an amazing tent if you're an extreme hiker that likes to go far and sleep little and then continue on. So you got to get it for what it's actually for, and then it's a good buy. Very expensive, but good. So if you're into travel, adventure, photography, hiking, camping, that kind of stuff, why not like and subscribe? And I hope to see you around then.